Hello student, good afternoon. Today we will start the respiratory system Scoliodon. Scoliodon breathes by means of gills borne in series of gill pouches. There are 5 pairs of such gill pouches, each of which compressed anteroposteriorly and communicates with the pharynx by a large intestinal branchial aperture and which with the exterior by narrow external branchial aperture. The first pair of visceral clips gives rise to the spiral which is vestigial in Scoliodon. The gills are a series of closed set, soft and highly vascular folds of the mucous membrane, radiating outwards from the cartilaginous branchial arches and supported by gill rays. Successive gill pouches are branchial septa. The inner border of each encloses a visceral arc with its branchial. 2 sets of lamellae attaches to visceral arc and its internal branchial septum. First 4 branchial pouches bears hollow branches. The demibranch or a half gill comprise only a single set of lamellae. Such a gill is borne by the hyoid arc on its posterior border. The pseudobranch is a rudimentary gill consisting of about half a dozen small parallel folds on the anterior wall of the spiracle, but in Scoliodon the spiracle bears no gill lamellae. The form of gill is lamelliform. In this the gill folds are attached along their length to interbranchial septum. In bony fishes, the gills are filiform or pectinate. There is an extensive system of sinusoid within each gill lamellae. These receive blood from the afferent branchial vessels and passes into the efferent branchial loop at the side of arc. Oxygenation takes place while the blood passes through the network of the blood vessels. Mechanism of the respiration. In order to maintain a continuous supply of oxygen for respiration, as current of water is maintained through the gill pouches by the movements of pharyngeal wall, water enters the buccopharyngeal cavity through the mouth. For this, floor of the pharynx is lower with the help of hypobranchial muscles such as the coracohyoid and coracobranchials, and mouth is opened. The increased volume capacity of the buccopharyngeal draws water in. Now the mouth closed and the floor is raised. The contained water consequently is forced through the internal opening of the branchial clips into the gill pouches. The water bathes the gill lamellae and then passes out through the external gill sets. The buccopharyngeal cavity acts as a force pump that maintains current of water only in one direction, that is through the mouth and outgrowth of gill slits along the anterior border. Each gill slit there are flaps of the skin which prevents the entire entry of water through the slit when the mouth is open and the pharynx rushing out by the lips that seal the mouth. When it is closed by the alternate contractions and relaxations of their intrinsic musculature, the gill pouches also contract and relax, thus aiding in the maintenance of water current. The water that enters the gill pouches carrying a large amount of dissolved oxygen. The capillary walls that separate this oxygen from blood are very thin and permeable. Thus, the oxygen dissolved in water passes through the thin wall of blood vessels by endomosis, and carbon dioxide is got rid of by the outgoing respiratory current, and oxygen picked up by the blood transported to different parts of the body. Therefore, it is evident that the respiratory system is solely connected with the breathing, which is sometimes called external respiration. The oxygen dissolved in water is taken by blood at some respiratory surface and conducted to different parts of the body. The results of the respiratory activities is the release of energy within the tissue. It is called tissue respiration. The energy is released as a result of complex chemical reaction, each which is catalyzed by a special respiratory enzyme within the protoplasm of tissue. The energy is provided by the oxidation of certain chemical compound called the substrate. In many instances, the substrate is glucose itself, but as a rule the substrate is only in the part of derived form, the glucose brought to the tissue by the blood within the tissues. The glucose is in dilute aqueous solution and its simple oxidation is not possible. Furthermore, the oxidation must take place at the relatively low temperatures of the body. The oxidation within the tissue as such is complicated process, the end product of which is carbon dioxide, water and energy. Hollow branch in the horizontal section. Respiratory system. Muscles, epibranchial cartilage, posterior efferent branchial artery, posterior terminal, posterior gill lamellae, branchial ridge, external branchial flap, external branchial cartilage, interbranchial septum, anterior gill lamellae, nutrient vein, efferent branchial artery, traumatic nerve, interior efferent branchial artery. This is the respiratory system organs. Mouth, hyoid, hemianopter, istholobranch, internal branchial opening, external gill slits, lobe branch, pharynx, esophagus, approach branch, interbranchial septum, external gill slits opens, gill lamellae, branchial pouch, mouth closed, buccal cavity, gill arc. Scoliodon breathing mechanism, expiration and inspiration. All these are procedure takes place in the respiratory system. Okay, thank you.